In the book of Acts, chapter 9, we see the awesome, famous story experience of Saul on the road of Damascus. It's one of my favorite stories in the entire Bible. It's a crucial event in the Bible, the transformation of the life of Saul. But later on in Acts chapter 9, we see kind of what happens with the rest of Saul's life after a few years. Now, we know from the book of Galatians that probably somewhere around Acts chapter 9, verses 20 or 21, Saul actually spends 3 years in the desert of Arabia. What's he doing during these 3 years? He's spending that time alone with the Lord, learning about the things of the Lord. God is using this opportunity to transform, to shape Saul's heart into the chosen vessel in which he had chosen him to be. So he's using this time to really spend this 3 years of alone time with the Lord. And then Saul comes back from that awesome experience, and he goes back to Jerusalem, and he goes to the disciples, and I'm sure he's stoked. I'm sure Saul is so excited. Why is he so excited? Because he's finally going back to Jerusalem after he's been saved for at least 3 years, and he's excited to share with the disciples who are back in Jerusalem all of the awesome things that God has done in his life for the past few years. He's going to be like, guys, you won't believe it. And he'll share with him his whole road to Damascus experience. He'll share with them how he just spent 3 years alone with Jesus in the desert in Arabia. And he could share with them all of these awesome things that Jesus has done in his life. He's stoked. Let's see what happens in Acts chapter 9, verse number 26. It says, "And when Saul had come to Jerusalem, he tried," note that word, he tried to join the disciples, but they all were afraid of him, and they did not believe that he was a disciple. Man, what a disappointment this must have been for Saul. He's excited. He's like, man, I can't wait to he's all giddy. I'm sure he's like, man, I can't wait to get back with my brothers and sisters in Jerusalem. They're going to be so excited to hear about how I'm saved. And he gets there. He tries to join up with them, but they're all afraid of him. For good reason, by the way, because Saul did have a history of going out and killing and imprisoning Christians, so their premise towards him isn't exactly false, and we can't exactly blame them for it. But notice what it says. Put yourself in Saul's shoes. The disappointment. He's like, man, I've been changed. I've been transformed. I have been redeemed by Jesus Christ. And yet they did not receive him. Yet they were afraid of him because they did not believe that he was a disciple. What a letdown. But the good news is in verse number 27 of Acts chapter 9. This is what it says. It says, "But Barnabas." I love it. I love Barnabas. I love the name Barnabas. I'm going to name my son Barnabas. It's such an awesome Bible name. He's such a cool guy throughout the book of Acts, and this is such good news. If you have your own Bible, I suggest you underline that phrase, "But Barnabas." It's great. "But Barnabas took him, and he brought him to the apostles, and he declared to them how he had seen the Lord on the road, and that he had spoken to him, and how he had preached boldly at Damascus in the name of Jesus." So the text implies that Saul must have went away. He tried to join with the disciples. It didn't work. They were afraid of him, so he left. But Barnabas took him, and he brought him back to the apostles. It's beautiful. What does the name Barnabas mean? The name Barnabas means son of encouragement. I love it. Son of encouragement. Barnabas, son of encouragement, takes Saul, and he brings him to the apostles. Why is this significant? Because Barnabas doesn't just encourage Saul to go back to the apostles, to go back to the disciples, but he goes with him. You ready for this Christian phrase? Barnabas is doing life with Saul. He didn't just encourage him to go. He's willing to go with him. He's willing to stand with him. He's willing to go, I know that this man Saul is speaking truth. I know that he's transformed. I know that he is redeemed. Barnabas was willing to take a stand and not just encourage Saul to go, but he was willing to go with him. He was willing to stand with him to be a son of encouragement. Guys, my challenge for us today is to be a Barnabas. Be a son of encouragement. Like I shared with the youth group, which I thought it was pretty clever. Some of them didn't think it was as cool. I'm not sure why, but I think it's pretty clever. And it's this: don't be a son of a gun. Be a son of encouragement. Be a Barnabas. Don't just encourage people to do something, but encourage them and be willing to stand with them, to do life with them. Whatever it is they're going through, stand with them through the trial, through the storm, through the rejoicing, through the party, through the sorrow. Whatever it is, be a son of encouragement and stand with other believers in it. It will radically transform their lives. It'll make a huge impact. Be an encouragement to someone else. Be a Barnabas.